Hey friends, welcome back to Watavue Mountain. As you can tell, nope, we're not at the mountain today. We're back in suburbia, and we got another, hopefully one-day project. We'll see. I'm supposed to roll up to the mountain tomorrow, so hopefully I can get this project done today. So yeah, absolutely blessed. Can't even explain it in words how good God has been to us here recently. Not just here on the channel doing projects and working on the mountain and working here in suburbia, but just life in general. Just our family, our friends, our health, everything. It's just, you know, if you put it in God's hands, I promise you He's going to take care of it. So anyhow, enough of me rambling. We hope you're enjoying this journey with us as we do projects here and we do projects at the mountain. It's a treat for us to be able to do it and share it with you all over the world, all over the country, of what we're doing and how we're doing it. So thanks for coming. Thanks for checking us out. As always, if you're liking the channel, hit the like button down below. Subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you know when we post new content. But anyhow, enough of me rambling. It's a nice, beautiful day. I'm going to be working in the garage today, so even if it rains later, doesn't really matter. And get yourself something to drink. It's going to be probably water and some caffeine for me today. But enough rambling. Let's get to busy. You might have guessed, this is the project for today. This is the garage. All winter we've been just kind of stacking stuff up in here. Stuff for the mountain, stuff for here, different projects going on, doing painting, doing this. And we've decided that this shelf back here just isn't cutting it anymore. So you can see right here, we have some mirrors on the wall. We used to have a nice little weight set out here. We have gotten rid of that. So what we're gonna do, the plan is to take all this stuff, move it out of here, and then we're gonna build some shelves here. Just some wood shelves. I've been looking at some heavy duty shelves like the ones we got in the back corner back there. They're just so expensive. And the price of wood, lumber has come back down, not the pressure treated, but all the other stuff, Dexter's onto something. So we're gonna build some shelves. So let me get all this stuff moved out of the way and let's see what we're working on. Okay, just a little up close here. I got everything moved out of the way, got those mirrors taken off the wall. Just to give you a breakdown, I had to do a little bit of math up front just to figure out what was going on. So this is what we're doing. The first shelf is going to be 30 inches off the ground because I have a cooler and another Pelican case that I want to slide under there, and they're about 29 inches tall. So the bottom of that first cross 2x4 will be 30 inches. Then I'm going to go 15 inches up in between each one with a max of 83 inches on the side because from the floor to the rail of the garage door is 86 inches. So, and we're gonna come out, the totes that I have, I'll show you those here in a little bit, are 30 inches long, 20 inches wide, and 14 inches high. So I wanna be able to put those in long ways. I guess you call it the length would be 30 inches. So it's gonna stick out 30 inches. So if I just went all up as high as I wanted to go, I wouldn't have room because of the rail of the garage door, which will make sense as we go along here. So what I'm gonna do next, I'll move the camera back and we're gonna start marking out where our studs are all the way up and down. Of course, I left the 4-foot level at the mountain, so I'm gonna just use a straight board. I'll mark it kind of a couple different spots and then I'll draw a line up and down to make sure we're hitting that the studs, 16-inch on center studs in here. So when we attach these braces, then it will be it'll be good to go. So let's do that. Dexter's coming to inspect. As you can see, I already have a couple marks here, so I'm going to just start with those to make sure that those are actually the studs there. Alright, so that's the stud there. So this line, this mark, that mark, and then I'll just use the straight edge and we'll line it up. And I'll keep doing this all the way across. I'll show you what it looks like once we're finished. All right, I moved you a little closer just to make it a little bit better, maybe to be able to see, but you can see here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 studs marked out here. I got them marked out from the highest I think I'm going to go will probably be even with these windows, and then the lowest will be 30 inches from the floor. So now I'm going to measure up 30 inches, probably 3 spots. I'll measure 30 inches, and then same thing. I'll use that straight board to mark my line, and that's where the bottom of the first support is going to go, at the bottom of 30 inches. So let me mark that out real quick. And actually, since I'm by myself, I'm just going to cut a piece. I got some scrap wood out here. I'm going to cut a piece at 30 inches, just so it can hold one end of the board for me. All right, so I got my little 30-inch brace over there, just to help me out. I put a couple screws in. I don't know if you can see that from there, just to help me out while I get started. And they are lined up with the where I think the studs are, at least where the stud finder told me the studs are. And then I'm going to line it up at the bottom right there. That's my 30 inches. Then I'm going to use the level to make sure we're good. Looks like we're a little, that side might be up just a titch. And let's get the level here so I can see it better. No, it needs to come up a titch. There we go. So that my floor might be just a little bit canted, but that's okay. I use markers like this the whole time to make sure that I stay level, or that this stays level regardless of the floor. So if I have a little extra space, it doesn't matter over here. There we go, nice and level. So lots of different options you have here. I'm just using these 10 by 3 inch going straight into the stud, like I said, and I think that'll be plenty enough to make it bomb proof. I saw some people that used the lag bolts. I mean, that'll really make it bomb proof. I like that idea. I just didn't want to spend that much money. So let me get these screws in, and then we'll measure on up and just keep going across and get these knocked out. There's our 6, we're still level. We definitely got our 30 inches there. So now we're gonna measure on up. I gotta find my sheet. I can't remember how high we're going. 14 inches? Okay, so on that end you can see I got my 15-inch spacer, my little helper. I have a line here, so I just used that spacer, that dead man, the 15-incher, to mark a couple spots across. So I marked here, I marked down there. I'm gonna do the same thing I did down here now. I'm gonna lift this up. Dead man's holding down there, or it falls. The joys of working by yourself. You only get so much movement before everything goes cattywampus on you, right? And this board's not entirely straight. It's a little bit bowed towards the wall, so that doesn't help. So I come down to my line. Number 1. Get my level over here where I can see it. That looks pretty doggone good. Right there. Then I'm just going to come back and I'm just putting 1 screw in right now, just to hold it in place, to make sure I like the way everything goes. And then I'll come back and I'll double up these screws. All right, there you go. Still nice and level. Let me grab one of these totes and I'll show you what we're talking about with those. See? That's why I wanted to do that. Dry fit it in there because I don't know if you can appreciate that from there. These little ridges stick up a little further than I thought they did. I didn't measure those appropriately. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to move that up a half an inch because, well, let me try this. It's still not great where you can see it, but you can see my finger fits behind there just fine. So I have a finger's width. Now, I still got to move it up a half an inch because I'm going to put plywood here. So this has to go up a half an inch. So let me go cut another piece at 15.5 inches. We'll take this off, reset the whole thing. I guess the good news is these screws are already in place on the studs. So now all I got to do, this could be tricky. Let me put the 15-inch guy back over here just to hold that in place. So when I unscrew this one, it doesn't completely fall. There you go, 15.5-inch spacer, 15.5 inches. Now we'll go down here, take the 15-incher out, make sure I don't use, I'll probably right on that so that I know it's only 15 inches. Now we'll screw this in. Now, forgot to level, make sure we're level first. Yep. Woo. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, huh? So now, that gives me plenty of space. Let me write this on here before I forget. 15.5, just so I know that this is my spacer that I'm using. And now you can see, when I hold this tote up here, right there on the edge, I have plenty of space. So I'll have space for my half-inch plywood and still space for the tote. So I'm just going to drill these back in again. We'll do one more level at 15.5 inches, and then we'll see what's next. So of course it wouldn't be a project of me doing it unless I made a mistake. I fixed it without showing you, so I'll talk about it. I set this first board at 30 inches to start. And I had some scratching on my piece of paper, and I swore it was 30 inches, but I went back and redid the math, and it's 24 inches is what I needed at the bottom in order to get this to work out so that the top will clear the end of that rail of the garage door. And the cooler, the Pelican, all the other stuff I have is really only 20 inches. So that gives me 4 inches in case I have something else that's a little bit taller. I don't know, buckets or something like that. But then I have 2 feet of space underneath, and then that gives me room for 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves. Even though the top shelf will probably just have other miscellaneous stuff, but then it gives me 3 shelves to put the totes on. So that's where we're at. 24 inches up, then 15.5, 15.5, 15.5. These all are 100.5 inches long, so I had to cut these down as well. Again, it'll all be specific to whatever you're doing and whatever, however much space you have. But that's how it worked out here. I skipped over some of that stuff. All right, what's next? So now I have some of those 100-inch boards down here. And what I'm gonna do, same kind of deal. I'm just gonna use my dead man to hold that in place. And I'm gonna set this here to replicate this frame. Now I just have 2 screws because I just want to tack it in place. I'm not trying to secure this to this. I want to make sure these are exactly replicated. just in case there's a little cattywampus down here. I think that's a 1/4 inch higher on this board than this end. So I just want to make sure that it all flushes out with the front and the back supports, so that my shelves are actually level. So there we go. So that's there. Move that up. Screw that to that. And then I'm just going to repeat the same thing. Now with the 15.5 inch spacer. I just set that there, and I'm just lining up the ends. I'm not pulling out the square and the level and all that. I'm just, again, making sure they're flush on top. Get a little screw in there. This one's got a little bow to it, so that'll make that exciting. And then flush down here. Keep on going. Okay, I guess I should have showed that part too. My bad. So what I did is I just held the board up here. I made a mark on the board with a pencil and then cut that amount off. I didn't measure it because actually this board is, again, a 1/4 inch shorter than that board. So because there's a little bit of slope to the garage, these are all still level, but again, I have more space at the end for my 24. So it's like 24.25, 24.5. So then that moves everything up here up, but it's all still level, if that makes sense to you. So now I have an exact template of the back wall supports for the front wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap a couple screws in these to hold these, and then I'll unscrew these from the wall. It'll make sense here in a second. I just went ahead and put one screw in each cross member. Now I'm going to go back and take this off, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. And there you go. Now that's an exact match to the shelves behind it. So when I come to put this back together, it should just all marry right up to each other. Once I get the cross members in, then I just stick this right on the front, screw it, and Bob's your uncle. So let me move this out of the way. I'm going to cut down some 29 inch supports to go from the back wall. So let me see, you can't even see anything. So they'll go from the back wall to here. And I'll move the camera out because I'm going to use a Craig jig I borrowed from Blake so that I can do a nice angle on those back ones so they're a little more secure. And then we'll just come straight through the front on the front ones. So let me get everything rearranged and then we'll do that. Alright, still no fancy workshop. We're just working on this trunk right here. But you see, this is just a basic Craig jig. K4, I guess is what this is called. So you just, I'm not going to give you a big class because I'm just figuring out how to work it myself. But you set the depth of your driver here. So we have it set at 1/2 inch. So the way it all works out, when you clamp your board down in here, so you line your board up, center it. Let's see if I can turn it sideways. I had to adjust this plunger, clamp that in place, drill your holes. So you just go down to, it'll stop right here at that, what's the word I'm looking for, collar, right? Unclamp it, and then there you go. You got some nice little pocket holes. It'll make that just disappear right in there. I already tested it out to make sure it's going to hold with the 2.5 inch screws, and it will. So let me get the cracking on this. I'll see if I can figure out a way that you can see it all while I'm doing it. Okay, all the holes are drilled. So now it's gonna be just, let's get these bad boys installed. So, just get the screw started here. See how this goes. Well, and then I'm just going to line this up level with the top of this and screw it in. There you go. Just rinse and repeat. Keep doing the same thing over until we get them all installed. Use a clamp if you're by yourself. That makes it way easier. Got to be thinking on the fly here, I reckon. All right, moment of truth. See if this is going to go underneath here. Well, it goes under it, but just barely. We might have to make some modifications on that. All right, enough of that. I don't need to show you all that. I'll just do it, and then we'll come back. Okay, you see I got these in. Sturdy, sturdy, sturdy. So you might be saying, wait a second, there's only 3. Yeah, of course. You know, I tell you the truth. I didn't do the math right. So I'll need 2 more 10-footers to cut down to these 28 inches, I think, and I'll come and put those in here at the halfway mark. So I just split the difference on these. This is at 50.5 inches. I think we're at 101 inches, so put these in the center, and then I'll split those, and I'll come back later and get that done. So what I'm going to attempt to do now is lift the corresponding this side brace that I already made earlier. I'm going to try to bring that back into place and get that screwed into place. So let's see how this goes. That wasn't that hard. So now the magic trick's going to be, I'm going to have to get the tops of these center supports lined up with the top of the front of these, or this front cross member. So what I'll probably do is I'm going to take these screws out in the center, leave the end ones on, so they still hold the boards up for me. I'll secure all the center ones, and then I'll put this board back on, and then go to one side or the other, and go that way. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So just trying to get that at the 50 and a half mark, so that we keep everything consistent here. There we go, snug as a bug in a rug. Yep. That baby's bomb proof. So what I did at the end there, I ran out of those 3-inch screws, but I had some 4-inch screws. I tried to do some 1.5 inch, 2-inch screws. They were just too short. I still left them in there because I buried them so deep they're still going to do something. So what I'm going to do is what I did here. I'm going to take a 4-inch screw. It'll run through the front piece. It'll run through this piece and run into the cross piece. But it's pretty solid right now. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to keep moving on so we can see the finished product. So now I'm just going to measure from the inside of this board to the wall and make sure that I have my 30 inches that I think I have, and then we're going to rip down this plywood. So let me measure, set this up, get to ripping. Go get something to drink. All right, move to the tailgate here. So I'm gonna, I left my big, I guess you call it the track saw, or my knockoff track saw. I left that at the mountain. So we're gonna make these 30 inches wide. So I'm gonna mark 30 inches here. I'm gonna mark 30 inches here. And then we'll use this to mark it. So you might be asking yourself, well, why don't you just cut it to 8-foot length, 30 inches wide? And the reason is it's only 48 inches, right? So if I cut a 30-inch wide, but it's 4 feet, it's not gonna give me enough leftover that I can use it, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking if we do the math right here, we do 30, we do 60, and so we'll get 3 sections out of this, right? Because 12 feet, 8 feet, 8 times 12 is 96. So we do 30 inches. I'll get 3 sections out of this, so I'll be able to cover more space cutting it this way than cutting it that way. So I hope that makes sense for you. Now let's just see if it's correct. That's going to be the $1,000,000 question. Kidding me. This would be so much easier with 2 people, but it's my fault. I told Skylar I would wait for him, and I didn't. So, sorry Skylar, it happens. I had to get this done because, like I said, I'm going to the mountain tomorrow. So, had to do it today. So there we go. There's our 30-inch mark. Now I would love to use this as a track saw, but because of the clamps at the end, this didn't work out. So I'm going to try to cut this freehand after I get some glasses. Alright, let me double check. Heavens knows I don't want to cut this stuff twice. 30 inches. 30 inches, 30 inches, 30 inches. Let me go make sure I'm 30 inches in here. 30 inches it is. Alright, let's do this the not preferred technique way. But, gotta do what you gotta do, right? Let me go see if she fits. Bingo, boingo, bongo. There you go, like a glove. Let's keep cutting, keep stacking. So as you can probably imagine, most of the wood is in place. I have, what did I say this was, 90 something inches. Probably have about a 6-inch gap. I think I'm going to put it at the end. But as you see, I used 2.5 sheets of plywood to cover all of this, as opposed to, it probably would have taken 4 sheets to cover all this if I had cut it the long way. So that's why I cut it the short way. I made these on top a little bit wider. I made them 31.5 or 31.25, just so they would sit back and be a little more flush. Probably wasted a little bit of wood up there in that corner. You can see that rail's real close there, but it is what it is. I can still stack stuff around it just so it doesn't get in the way of the garage door. So I'm going to start screwing down what I got. So what I'm going to use are those 1.5-inch screws I talked about earlier. Now again, this is something I've seen several different people do several different things. Some people just use staples, some people use screws, some people use nails. I'm not going to give you the lecture about shear strength and separation. With the screws. I prefer the screws if something's going to get lifted, if you're worried about upheaval, but in this case I really don't care. I just happen to have 1.5-inch screws, so that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to scab in those pieces where I'm short. Maybe I might just leave the gaps there, and then once I'll have to go back to the store to get some more bracing for the center pieces. So right now it might look like it's a little flimsy, and the boards are flimsy, but this isn't moving, you know. So I'm just going to tack those boards down, and now that I'm thinking about it, I might just leave that. I might leave just that little bit of space right here behind this center board, or maybe on the end, and then that way if I have something long that I need to put on the end, maybe over here, then I can slide it in there, like clamps or pipes or something of that nature. So maybe that's what I'll do. So, okay, let me get to screwing this down. So I'm just going to do one in each corner, because once we get everything on it, it's going to hold itself down anyhow. That'll just help keep it from shifting. So I think that's going to be the move. One in each corner. Alright, and then like I said, I'm going to slide these down. Close this gap here. Then I'll have a small gap over here for tall stuff that I can just stick through there. So if you have skis or something like that, maybe you could stack those in that corner. There you go. We're going to call it right there. Like I said, I know I got to come back. I got to put those braces in. Each one of these needs a little more support. Again, I don't need to draw this out, wait another day, all that kind of stuff. You already know what's going to happen. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the other ones. I'm going to do the crate jig on the back side, drill them on the front, and then go back and screw those down a little bit more. But as you can see, a huge improvement from what it was. Not that I dislike those little black shelves that much, they just don't have as much space as this does. And you can tell quite a bit more space and plenty of room at the bottom. You see we got the cooler down there, I got the Pelican over there. I'll probably stack some paint cans and some gas cans on this side just to keep them towards the end of the garage. And that's it. We're going to call it right there. So easy breezy. I think it only took me, I don't even know what time of the day it is, 4 o'clock. It took me about 4 hours to do this. I pretty much gave you step by step. Just figure out your measurements, do like I did, draw it out on a sheet of paper. That always helps me to kind of visualize what am I trying to accomplish, and then I have another sheet of paper that has all my cut sheet on it. But again, like I said, I forgot these center supports, so nothing drastic. It just happens sometimes. So yeah, so that's it. So thanks for coming, thanks for checking us out. I really hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, pretty quick, easy, makes the garage look 1,000 times better than it did. And I think the boss lady's gonna be real happy when she gets home. I guess we'll find out when she gets here. So thanks for coming, thanks for checking us out. As I always say, we're truly blessed to be able to do this, blessed to have you along with us, and God is good. So make sure if you like this stuff, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell icon over there so you know when we post new content. Of course, if you look up this way, I'm going to post another video up there too. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming. See you next time. Be safe.